Have you ever found yourself analyzing a text message over and over, wondering, what did they mean by that? Do they like me? Am I wasting my time? If you've been in this situation, you're not alone. Mixed signals have a way of pulling us into emotional limbo, a place where we're investing our time and energy, but we're not getting clarity. The truth is, mixed signals aren't an accident. They're a form of communication. They tell you something, even if the words don't match the actions, and when you understand the stages, you stop feeling powerless. You stop feeling like someone else's indecision controls your happiness. Instead, you start to recognize the patterns and you take back your power before you lose yourself in confusion. Let's break down the 4 stages of mixed signals so that next time you're in this situation, you know exactly what's happening, and more importantly, what to do about it. You know that moment when you meet someone and everything just clicks, the energy feels electric. The conversations flow effortlessly, the chemistry is undeniable, and every interaction feels like it's building towards something special. They text you first, they ask questions about your life, they seem genuinely interested. And in those moments, it's so easy to believe that this is the start of something real, something lasting. You start to think, wow, this person gets me, they see me, maybe this is finally it. And why wouldn't you feel that way? After all, you've been waiting for someone who makes you feel alive, someone who brings excitement back into your life. This is what I call the dream stage, and it's intoxicating. It's the part of the journey that hooks you because human beings are wired to respond to intensity. When someone gives us attention and makes us feel desired, our brain lights up like a Christmas tree. It feels rewarding because, on a primal level, attention equals validation, and validation feels like love, even when it's not. The compliments, the good morning texts, the way they look at you like you're the only person in the room, it's powerful. It makes you want to believe that what you're feeling isn't just real, it's permanent. But here's the truth most people miss. The beginning of something is rarely the best indicator of its long-term potential. We often confuse chemistry with compatibility. Chemistry is that spark that happens at the start. It's exciting, it's fun, it's addictive, but compatibility is what shows up after the spark fades. Compatibility is when life gets messy, when schedules clash, when emotions settle and reality takes over. The problem is, during this early stage, we're blinded by the dopamine rush. When someone showers us with attention, we don't stop to ask the right questions because we're too busy enjoying the feeling. We don't think about consistency. We just assume it will be there because the intensity is so strong right now. But think about it, anyone can show up big in the beginning, anyone can send 100 texts in the first week or plan elaborate dates to impress you. That doesn't take character, it takes excitement. Excitement is easy. What's hard is showing up when life is inconvenient. What's hard is being steady when the novelty wears off. But when you're in this first stage, you're not thinking about any of that. You're thinking about how good it feels to be wanted. And so you start building a story in your head about where this could go. And that story becomes dangerous because it sets an expectation. You begin to tie your emotions to a future that doesn't exist yet. And the more you invest in that fantasy, the harder it becomes to walk away later when the reality doesn't match the dream. Here's the biggest trap of this stage: hope. Hope is powerful, and when it's based on reality, it's beautiful. But when hope is based on potential, it becomes a prison. You start ignoring red flags because you're so focused on the version of them that showed up at the start. You tell yourself this is who they really are. They're just stressed right now. They'll go back to that version soon. And so, you excuse the distance, the slow replies, the canceling of plans because you're attached to the idea that what you felt at the beginning means something permanent. But early effort doesn't guarantee lasting commitment. It's easy to act interested in the honeymoon phase, The question isn't whether someone can make you feel special when everything is new and exciting. The question is, do they show up when the excitement fades? Do they make you feel secure when life gets busy? This is why so many people end up heartbroken by someone who seemed perfect at first. They confuse a great start with a great relationship. They don't realize that the first stage is just a highlight reel, not the full story. People show their best selves in the beginning because they want to impress you. They want to win you over. That's not manipulative, it's human. We all do it. But what happens after that? What happens when they don't need to impress you anymore? That's where their real values show up. That's where their level of emotional availability becomes clear. When you meet someone who makes you feel amazing at the start, I want you to enjoy it, because connection is beautiful. But don't lose your perspective. Don't assume intensity equals stability. Let the actions over time tell you who they are. Because if you don't, you're going to find yourself giving your heart to someone who only borrowed your attention for a moment. And that hurts. It hurts because you'll start blaming yourself. You'll start thinking, what did I do wrong? Why did they change? But the truth is, they didn't change. They revealed themselves. The person they are now is the real them. The person you met in the beginning was the version designed to attract you. This stage can also mess with your self-worth, because when someone goes from giving you everything to giving you nothing, it feels personal. You start wondering if you're enough, but here's what you need to understand. Someone's inconsistency isn't a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of their clarity. People who know what they want don't create confusion. People who are ready for something real don't leave you guessing. So, the next time you're swept up in the excitement of a new connection, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this just excitement, or is this consistency? Because the answer to that question will save you months, or even years, of wasted time. You deserve someone whose energy today matches their energy 3 months from now. You deserve someone who doesn't just show up when it's easy and exciting, but stays when it's inconvenient and hard. And you'll never know if someone can do that until you give it time. That's the key. Time reveals what intentions hide. Time shows you whether someone is truly invested or just enjoying the moment. And the more you rush to lock in that early feeling, the more you set yourself up for disappointment. So, take your time. Protect your heart by letting consistency prove what chemistry started. Because love isn't about how good it feels at the beginning. It's about how steady it feels when life tests it. The next time you meet someone and you feel that rush of excitement, don't fight it. But don't let it blind you either. Remind yourself, anyone can be amazing in the first chapter. What matters is whether they show up in chapter 10, chapter 20, when the plot thickens and the stakes are higher. The right person won't just make you feel special when it's fun. They'll make you feel secure when it's hard. And that, more than anything else, is what you deserve. You know that feeling when everything suddenly changes. One week, they were texting you every day, making plans, talking like you were the most important person in their world. And then, almost overnight, something shifts. The messages become shorter, the calls are less frequent, plans start to get pushed back with excuses like, I'm just busy right now, or things have been a little crazy lately. And you're left sitting there, staring at your phone, wondering what happened. You replay every conversation in your mind, looking for clues. Did you say something wrong? Did you do too much? Did you not do enough? This is the stage that feels like emotional whiplash. It's the stage where mixed signals start to reveal themselves because the energy you felt at the beginning suddenly isn't there anymore. It's confusing because it's not like they've disappeared completely. They're still around, but something feels different. The tone has changed, the effort has changed, and now you're left in this uncomfortable space where nothing is clear. And the most dangerous part, you start filling in the blanks with your own explanations because they're not giving you real answers. You tell yourself they're probably just stressed, or they'll get back to how they were once things calmed down. You hold on to that hope because you're afraid to lose the connection. But here's what you need to hear. People who know what they want don't make you feel confused. They don't pull you close one day and push you away the next. They don't leave you wondering where you stand, because clarity is part of commitment. When someone starts pulling back, that isn't just a random mood swing. It's a signal. It's telling you something about their level of certainty, their readiness, their intentions. The problem is, most of us don't want to hear that message. We want to believe the story we created during the first stage, the story where everything was perfect, where they seemed so sure about us, where the connection felt undeniable. So instead of listening to what their actions are telling us now, we keep holding on to the memory of how it felt before. And that's where the trap begins. Because the more you ignore what's happening in the present, the deeper you invest in a reality that doesn't exist anymore. You start negotiating against your own standards. You start accepting less effort than you deserve because you hope the effort will come back. You start justifying their distance instead of asking yourself why you're tolerating inconsistency. And every time you excuse their behavior, you teach them that this is okay. You teach them that they can pull back without losing your presence. You teach them that your time, your attention, and your love don't require clarity in return. Think about what happens in this stage emotionally. At first, you were calm because you felt secure in their attention. But when they start to withdraw, that security turns into anxiety. You start analyzing every interaction, trying to figure out what changed. And that anxiety makes you behave differently. You start overcompensating. You text more, you try harder, you initiate plans because you think, if I just show them how amazing I am, they'll come back to how they were. But the more you do that, the more power you give away. Because now, instead of being two people meeting in the middle, you're carrying the weight of the relationship alone. And when you do that, you lose leverage, but more importantly, you lose yourself. Here's the truth that most people don't want to accept. When someone pulls back, it's not a challenge for you to work harder. It's a warning sign for you to pay attention. Because if they're pulling back now at the easiest part of the relationship, what do you think is going to happen when life gets hard? If they can't be consistent in the stage where everything is exciting and new, they're not going to magically become consistent later. Consistency isn't about convenience, it's about character. And if someone can't show you that now, you need to believe them. The hardest part about this stage is the hope. The hope that maybe they're just busy. The hope that maybe you can do something to fix it. But hope isn't a strategy. If their actions aren't aligning with their words, if their behavior isn't matching their promises, then it doesn't matter what excuses they give you. What matters is the pattern, and patterns don't lie. If the pattern is pulling back when things should be moving forward, you have your answer. But I know why it's so hard to accept that answer. Because it feels like giving up. It feels like walking away from something that had so much potential. And that's what keeps people stuck for months, even years. Potential. We fall in love with the idea of what could be instead of facing the reality of what is. But potential doesn't build a relationship. Effort does, consistency does, and if those things aren't present, then what you're clinging to is a fantasy. Let me tell you something important. Someone who truly values you doesn't want to risk losing you. They don't play games with your heart because they know your worth and they want to protect the connection. When someone starts pulling back and you allow it, you're sending the message that uncertainty is acceptable in your world. But it's not. You deserve clarity. You deserve stability. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question where you stand, because when you're constantly questioning, you can't build trust. And without trust, there is no real foundation. So what do you do when you notice this shift? You stop chasing. You stop overcompensating. You stop trying to convince someone to choose you, because the moment you do that, you've already put yourself in a position of weakness. Instead, you step back and let their actions speak. You give them space to show you whether their interest was real or just temporary. And while you do that, you remind yourself of your own value, because the most dangerous thing about this stage is that it can make you forget how much you deserve. It can make you think that being patient with someone's inconsistency is noble, when in reality it's self-betrayal. I want you to understand something. Distance doesn't always mean rejection, but it always means something. And that something is important for you to pay attention to, because it tells you where their priorities are. If you matter to someone, they don't let you wander. They make an effort even when life gets busy, because that's what commitment looks like. So the next time someone starts pulling away, don't panic and don't chase. Observe, watch the pattern, and then make a decision that honors your worth, even if that decision is hard. Because what's harder is staying in a situation that's draining you, confusing you, and keeping you from finding the love you actually deserve. The truth is, love should bring peace, not anxiety. It should bring clarity, not confusion. And when someone's behavior leaves you constantly guessing, it's not love, it's uncertainty. You have to ask yourself, do I want a relationship where I feel secure? Or do I want a relationship where I'm always trying to prove myself? Because those two things cannot coexist. At the end of the day, someone pulling back is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of clarity. It's the universe giving you the opportunity to choose yourself. And when you do that, you send a powerful message that your love is a privilege, not a consolation prize, that your presence requires effort, not excuses, that your heart belongs to someone who shows up every single day, not someone who disappears when things get inconvenient. So when you feel that shift, when the texts slow down, when the plans start falling apart, when their words don't match their actions, don't ignore it. Don't explain it away. Don't make it your job to fix what they're breaking. Instead, remember this: you are not here to convince someone to see your value. You are here to find someone who already does. You know what makes this part so exhausting. It's not just that they pulled back. It's not even that they became inconsistent. It's that after disappearing for days or giving you bare minimum effort, they suddenly show up again. They send that text that says, "Hey, I was thinking about you." Or they make plans out of nowhere, or they act like nothing ever happened. And because you've been craving that connection, because you've been waiting for them to come back to the way they were, you feel that rush of relief. You think, finally, they're back. Maybe this means things are getting better. Maybe we're going back to how it was at the beginning. And that hope, that tiny spark of possibility, is what traps you in the cycle. This is the stage where mixed signals become a pattern, not just a moment, and the pattern is simple. They pull you close just enough to keep you there, then push you away just enough to keep you wanting more. It's like emotional tug-of-war. One minute you feel seen, desired, even loved, and the next minute you feel invisible, confused, and questioning everything. And that unpredictability is what makes this cycle so powerful. Because the human brain is wired to seek certainty, and when you don't get certainty, you start working harder for it. You start thinking, maybe if I do this, they'll stay consistent. Maybe if I show them how much I care, they'll stop pulling away. But the more you try, the more control you give them. Because now you're no longer in a relationship based on mutual effort. You're in a relationship where you're chasing stability that should have been there from the start. Here's what most people don't realize: inconsistency is addictive. Psychologists call it intermittent reinforcement. The same principle that makes slot machines so hard to walk away from. When you get rewarded every time you pull the lever, you eventually get bored. But when you get rewarded randomly, unpredictably, your brain becomes obsessed. Because now, every time you feel ignored, you think, if I just wait, the good part will come back. Every time they give you attention, it feels 10 times more valuable because it's so rare. And without realizing it, you start living for the high, even though the lows are destroying your peace of mind. Think about what this does to you emotionally. At first, you were confident, you felt good about yourself, you believed in your value, but the longer you stay in this cycle, the more you start to doubt yourself. You start asking, why do they keep pulling away? Is there something wrong with me? Am I not enough? And the more you internalize their inconsistency, the more it eats away at your self-worth. Suddenly, you're not just trying to hold on to the relationship. You're trying to prove to yourself that you're worthy of the love you want. And that's a dangerous place to be, because it means your happiness is no longer in your control. It's in theirs. It depends on whether they decide to show up or disappear. And that's not love. That's emotional chaos. The hardest part about breaking this cycle is that it doesn't always look toxic from the outside. People around you might not even notice what's happening because the good moments are so good. You post that cute date night picture on Instagram, you share that sweet text they sent, and everyone thinks, wow, you two are so happy. But what they don't see is the silence in between. They don't see the nights you spend overthinking why they haven't called. They don't see the anxiety that comes with every unanswered message, and because the highs are so visible, you start convincing yourself that the lows aren't that bad. You start saying things like, every relationship has ups and downs, or nobody's perfect. And while that's true, there's a difference between normal challenges and emotional instability. A healthy relationship doesn't leave you questioning your worth every other day. So why do people stay in this cycle for so long? Because hope is powerful. You remember how good it felt in the beginning, and you believe it can feel that way again. You believe that if you just hold on a little longer, if you just give a little more, they'll come around. But here's the reality. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave, because now your emotions are invested, your time is invested, and your heart is invested. You start thinking about everything you've put into this relationship, and the thought of walking away feels like admitting defeat. But staying doesn't fix it. Staying just deepens the cycle. Here's what you need to understand. When someone truly wants to be with you, they don't keep you guessing. They don't give you breadcrumbs to keep you from walking away. They give you consistency because they value you, and they don't want to risk losing you. If someone's behavior only improves when they sense you're pulling away, that's not love, that's control. That's them doing the bare minimum to keep you close without giving you what you actually deserve. And you deserve more than bare minimum. You deserve more than occasional affection. You deserve clarity. Breaking this cycle isn't easy because it requires walking away from the very thing you want most. Their approval, their affection, their love. But here's the truth. Holding on isn't giving you those things either. It's giving you moments of relief in between long stretches of confusion and pain, and that's not a life you want to live, because the more you tolerate uncertainty, the more you train yourself to settle for it, and the longer you settle, the further you drift from the love you're actually looking for. The real question you need to ask yourself is this: do I want to spend my life trying to win someone who only loves me in fragments, or do I want someone who loves me in full? Because those two things are not the same. The person who loves you in fragments will keep you in this endless loop of hope and disappointment, passion and distance, highs and lows. The person who loves you in full will make you feel safe. They will make you feel valued every single day, not just when it's convenient for them, and that's the kind of love you deserve, the kind that doesn't make you guess, the kind that doesn't make you question, the kind that feels like home, not like a gamble. You have to remember that your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to see it. Your worth doesn't shrink because someone can't be consistent. Their inconsistency says everything about them and nothing about you. So the next time they pull you back in with sweet words or sudden attention, stop and ask yourself, is this real change, or is this just part of the cycle? Because if it's the cycle, then you already know how the story ends. It ends with you hurt, drained, and wondering why you stayed so long. But you have the power to write a different ending. You have the power to choose clarity over chaos, peace over passion, and love over longing. And when you finally walk away from someone who keeps you stuck in this loop, something incredible happens. You free yourself to find the person who doesn't make you doubt, doesn't make you wait, and doesn't make you settle. The person who gives you what you've been craving all along. Not attention in bursts, but love that lasts. Mixed signals aren't a mystery, they're a message. They're telling you where you stand, even if the words don't match the actions. And the sooner you recognize these stages, the sooner you stop settling for someone who keeps you in emotional limbo. The truth is, the right person will never make you decode them. They'll show you with clarity that they choose you, and they'll do it every single day.